Bonjour les amis, c'est mercredi musique. Aujourd'hui, nous allons parler de Vitaa et Slimane. La chanson s'appelle Ça ira. Vitaa et Slimane sont français, mais la famille de Slimane est algérienne. Leur chanson Ça va, ça vient était dans la Manie musicale en 2020. Ils sont de bons amis, ils ne sont pas mariés. Ce clip a été filmé en Espagne. D'accord. Remember last week we talked about ne jamais and ne rien? So, ne plus is another expression like that, where the plus replaces the pas, and it means no longer or not anymore. Par exemple, Paul ne joue plus au football américain. Paul does not play football anymore. Il n'y a plus de jus d'orange dans le frigo. There's no more orange juice in the fridge. Je n'ai plus faim. So if you are not hungry anymore, if you're at someone's house and they offer you seconds, you could use that phrase. It's also a phrase you might hear if you are in a restaurant and they are out of something. So they might say, nous n'avons plus de steak frites. We're out of steak and fries, or whatever it happens to be. Or that favorite dessert you were hoping for. One other little grammatical point that you might notice in the song. So we worked hard with je ne sais pas, making a verb sandwich, saying, putting the ne and the pas around the verb. But sometimes the French drop the ne. Just like in English, you might say gonna instead of going to, or I wanna instead of I want to. The French will sometimes just drop the ne. Okay? So, for example, in the song, instead of saying il ne faut pas se laisser tomber, they actually get rid of the il as well and just say faut pas se laisser tomber. So there's no ne, it goes away. C'est pas si facile. So a lot of times with c'est, instead of saying ce n'est pas, they just say c'est pas. So it's not technically grammatically correct, but it is very common in conversation. C'est pas grave, very common expression. This is not in the song, but it's a useful phrase if you want to say no problem, no worries, not a big deal, c'est pas grave. Prononciation, consonne finale. So remember we talked about not pronouncing final S or final T unless you have a liaison. In other words, the next word begins with a vowel or an H, so you carry the sound over. One exception to this that is in the song is le fils. If you're saying your son, as in your male offspring, le fils, you actually do pronounce the S, but that is an exception. Normally, you don't pronounce the final S. Some examples from the song. C'est pas si facile. So you don't pronounce the S or the T in c'est, unless there's a vowel after it. Then you might, like c'est une fille, it is a girl. You don't pronounce the S on fait or avait or temps in the second sentence. Tu fais comme si t'avais le temps. Notice also the T apostrophe actually stands for tu. That's another little squishing that happens in songs sometimes. Instead of tu avais, they say t'avais. Or instead of saying je fais, they say je fais. So sometimes you'll see that, even though normally you don't have J apostrophe in front of a consonant. You would only have that in front of a vowel. But sometimes, just because of the way people speak, you'll see it written that way in song lyrics. Je fais le clown. So the S on fait is not pronounced. Je me dis. So the S on D is not pronounced. Que les hommes. So les hommes, that's a liaison. So you hear the Z sound because starts with an H, which acts like a vowel in French. Then we don't hear the S on the end of or the T or the S on some of the words that follow. Ne sont pas faits pour ça. Notice all the rhyming words like we worked on the last couple of times. Je, me, que, ne. Those all rhyme. Remember that. Another little pronunciation thing that you might see, and you will see in the song, at the end of a verb, accent aigu. So only if it has that accent mark on it going in that direction, the accent aigu, if that works in the video. EZ or an ER, they are all pronounced the same. Par exemple, fatigué, fatigué, fatigué. Passez, passez, passez. Chantez, chantez, chantez. So they all sound the same. So that's a helpful thing to remember. Ça ira. So here's the chorus of the song we're going to listen to. Ça ira. Le pire est passé. So you'll notice those words in red, kind of a dark red, those all rhyme. I also highlighted some of the two-letter words ending in E, so le and se. Remember those rhyme with je and ne and de. Alors, ça ira. Le pire est passé. Faut pas, so don't pronounce the T, don't pronounce the S. Faut pas qu'on se laisse tomber. Now, in the song, you actually hear that E on the end of laisse, like we talked about. Sometimes you have an extra syllable in there for the rhythm of the song. So if I were just speaking, I would pronounce that on laisse. But because of the song and wanting to have another syllable, you're going to hear se laisse tomber. Faut pas qu'on se laisse tomber. Relevez, relevez, résister encore une fois. So all those ERs at the end of those verbs are pronounced the same, and you don't hear that final S. And then we finish with ça ira, ça ira. Hope you enjoy the song. Merci beaucoup.